Demon Slayer fans, it's finally here. The Infinity Castle movie has dropped, and it's part one of the epic trilogy that will close out the Demon Slayer saga. Man, this film is packed with jaw dropping animation, heartbreaking sacrifices, and some of the craziest battles you have ever seen. We're going to break down everything that I've seen so far and see what's going on inside the Infinity Castle. So let's talk about it. All right, so glad to see Geek Variant. So we are talking about the Infinity Castle movie from Demon Slayer. And a quick heads up, this video will be full of major spoilers for the Infinity Castle movie, including deaths, transformations, final battles. If you haven't watched it yet, bookmark this video, come back and check it out. For everyone else, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. So, setting the stage just picks up after season 4, and we see that Muzan has retreated to his lair in the Infinity Castle and drags the Demon Slayer core inside with him, like as much of it as he possibly can. Pretty sure the majority of it is there as far as the fighters and stuff. Most of the support cast and stuff is still back at the compound, handling business, otherwise. So we see that Tamayo has done what she can to infect Muzan and try to get him to turn back human, while he is being, as diligent as he can to stop that from happening while getting himself ready to deal with the Demon Slayer core while the rest of his team is doing what they do. The castle is constantly shifting thanks to Nakame's blood demon art, where she is strumming that guitar and she is changing up everything. And our heroes are trying to, gain footing and figure out what they need to do. This is the core's last chance to deal with Muzan. Either he dies here or humanity is going to crash and burn. So they're in for a battle, and they're in for a battle till the sun comes up, it looks like. That's what we're dealing with. Now, as everybody's kind of getting settled and getting their feet wet, we start off with, and again, I'm gonna skip around here a little bit, but everybody's kind of trying to figure out who's with who's teaming up. Like Giyu freaking is, ended up with Tanjiro, and they're paired up and trying to figure out what to do next and where they need to go. Versus Tokito freaking and Gyome, they end up finding each other. Saname's on his own. Everybody's figuring stuff out. But we end up seeing Shinobu end up coming across Doma, the number 2. This is actually the demon that killed her sister. So we get a whole flashback scene in her backstory about what's going on with her and how she lost her sister. And she immediately goes on the attack without missing a beat. You see that her poisons and everything she's used to using initially seem effective, but Doma has some type of immunity and he keeps neutralizing all the poisons that she's throwing out. Basically, long story short, after she did a dramatic display of fighting him off and injecting him with several different poisons using all her different techniques, Shinobu is taken out and absorbed by Doma just in time for her pupil to come in and see. So Canal comes in and sees all this as it's happening, and this loss really jacks her up, and now she is focused on having to deal with Doma, and now it's just her. So it's a gut punch there. We gotta, we lose a Hashira right off the bat, and it's one of the most shocking scenes in the film. It definitely is just like, wow, I didn't expect it to go down, exactly like that. But again, I haven't read the manga and everything, so all of this is a surprise to me. All right. Second fight this ends up setting up is Zenitsu and Kaigaku, where he saw Zenitsu was very focused, and he ends up facing off against his former senior Kaigaku, who was a member of the Demon Slayer Corps, but has since turned demon. All right. He was always known for mocking, Zenitsu and basically saying that he was always weaker and he didn't need him because he could only do forms 2 through 6, while Zenitsu can only do form 1. That's one of the reasons why they were put together, because together they make a complete set of thunder breathing. But Kaigaku was like, nah, he wasn't about that life, and he wanted somebody that really understood his worth. And that's that letter that Zenitsu got, was where Gramps ended up committing seppuku and couldn't even do it properly because he had no one else there with him. and that's one of the things that's driving Zenitsu forward. During the course of this fight, they end up testing each other's skills. Zenitsu, obviously, a bit faster, but more skills at Kaigaku's disposal. But we end up seeing Zenitsu break out an amazing seventh form of thunder breathing all on his own, and he ended up defeating Kaigaku. And after all that's said and done, he gets kind of one final moment with Gramps before we see that he is saved by Yushiro, and he's in the process of recovering. So this is a big thing for Zenitsu because we always see him sleep, and the fact is that his character growth, his arc is just getting better and better. He's always stolen the show when it comes to breaking out his new moves, and this is no exception. It was absolutely fantastic. But we see him go from being a coward to being a hero to confronting danger and not having any hesitation. He is wide awake while doing it. So absolutely spectacular seeing Zenitsu do what he does. And the the main event of this movie, at least anyway, is Tanjiro and Giyu versus Akaza. All right, and this one is basically payback for everything that happened with Rengoku. Like, we got to get our get back because the way Rengoku went down and how much crap Akaza was talking, Tanjiro's feeling it. So this is the fight everyone's been waiting for. This is where things go down. And during the process of this fight, we got some great scene animation, a lot of talking stuff, but we see Giyu actually activates his Demon Slayer mark, leveling his up his strength, and he's able to go in and really put in the work to keep up with Akaza. Tanjiro, on the other hand, who has already unlocked his mark, he actually sets himself up to go into what's called the transparent world and the selfless state. He's learning how to read Akaza's movements and basically hide his killing intention, hide his fighting spirit, so that he's able to get the drop on Akaza. And he does get the drop on him. He's able to take off his head very cleanly, even with announcing himself. He managed to get it done. But when that happens, it actually triggers Akaza to start remembering things. And while he even tries to keep his head on during the process and even fight without it at one point, we see a flashback to his life as a human, as Hakaji, and remembering his fiance, Koyuki. And it basically shows what happened with him and his father, how he was a thief beforehand and did a lot of stuff. And basically he's been in a state of self-pity and doubt because of the way his life and stuff has turned out. Like, this is the centerpiece of the movie as far as the backstory. This is the part where a lot of people say it dragged because of how long the backstory was and where it was in the middle of the fight. And I don't think it did at all. I think it was fantastically told. I enjoyed every minute of it. I was not worried about, the fight. Like, we knew the fight was happening. We knew stuff was going down. But to understand Akaza's background and understand why he fights the way he does, why his technique looks the way it does, why he's adamant about, getting stronger, all of it makes much more sense now. And I think that they did a fantastic job with the storytelling. A lot of people say that, Demon Slayer has no story and it does work. Like, they're all wrong as far as I'm concerned, because it does have a story. It's not the most complicated of stories, but it does tell a story and it tells it well, and it has these great emotional beats to it throughout the process. This is one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen as far as animation goes, and seeing it on the big screen in IMAX stuff, like, absolutely fantastic, stunning. Like, it looked amazing. And if you haven't seen it and you're watching this, freaking sorry for the spoilers, but I did warn you, go see it. If you've already seen it, hey, if you saw it in sub, go check it out in dubbed. Freaking vice versa. If you saw it in dub, go check it out in sub. Just see how, the different voice actors are paired, because all the voice acting was phenomenal throughout all of it. Like, they were putting in work and they made me feel everything. Now, some of the other things that happened in there was we see Nezuko, you know, is starting to return to her human form thanks to Shinobu and Tamayo's medicine concoction. So that's kind of being worked on. We see the Kasagi Crows are coordinating the Corps' movement inside the castle using Yushiro's ability with the drawings on the paper so they can see what the crows see. So they're steadily mapping out the entire Infinity Castle so they can know what goes where, how many levels there are, how many demons are in the process, where these demons are located, which ones are the bigger powers versus the smaller powers. We see Muzan, who has Tamayo still trapped and is continuing to try to absorb her during the process, while Nakame is still constantly and consistently reshaping the battlefield the entire time. Like, it is wild. And even with all the other core members that are in there and they are trying to, make their way through, they're doing what they can to protect the Hashira so the Hashira can get to the bigger threats. And, that's commendable in itself because they already paired up in teams before all this stuff happened. Like, all this stuff was really thought through. The master did not hesitate to think this stuff through and set them up for success in the best way possible. All right. Again, all these demons are here and they're all here for a reason. And now we're not going to get every demon's backstory. We do know that the demons aren't, necessarily born from evil. They're made through circumstances and tragedies and other things that have happened. So seeing all this stuff, seeing Zenitsu and Tanjiro push past their limits, seeing the setup and the high stakes for loss and knowing that anybody can go at any time. Hey, I'm on the edge of my seat and I'm excited to see what's going to happen, throughout the rest of, the movies that are set up. So the film ends up closing out with Akaza's death. He does get, fully taken out, more or less in a kind of a he was taken out as well as a kind of a self-sacrifice kind of thing. But we know that the war isn't over. Tanjiro and Giyu are freaking definitely wounded and unconscious at this point. Kanao is still trying to deal with Doma, and she's already taken some hits, and she's standing by. And Muzan is still waiting, and kind of talking that trash. So this was a great movie. Hats off to everybody involved. So Aniplex, Shueisha, UFO Table, like Sony, like Crunchyroll, everybody who was involved in this, I think was fantastic, and I can't wait to see the next movies as they transpire. That's the majority of what went down in Infinity Castle. There may be some things, small things that I missed, but again, you got to see the movie. What did you think? Was Shinobu's death one of the hardest things to watch, or how was Akaza's, so-called redemption arc? Did that hit you? Let me know in the comments what you think and how you like the movie. And don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate every single one of y'all that are here and watch these videos. And I'm going to do as many breakdowns as I can of any anime that I watch and just give my opinion on, what I think happens, what I think is going to happen, and just where things are going to go. We are just getting started with the Infinity Saga. So stick around because part two is going to be even crazier than before. I got nothing else. I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.